Moles. Surprise, moles do not eat plants. Moles eat grubs. And so if you will remove the grub from the area, you also then decrease, if not eliminate, your mole population. So there's stuff called Kill-A-Grub that you can put out. There are other products that do the same thing, and all of those remove the grub from the area. And once the grub is gone, that takes care of their food source. They move on. That doesn't mean it kills them. It means that they go to your neighbor's house instead. And that's okay. So the tunnels that they do create. Now, if you're talking one, they can do up to 200 feet a day's worth of tunneling is how much a mole can actually do. And so you may not have a lot of moles. It may be that you just have 1 or 2 moles. It's just they're very active moles. If it's in an area that you're using for garden and it's not an issue where you're going to be stepping where it's solid and then not solid, then leave it there if it's not causing you a problem. Use it for aeration. You know, 'cause you got to aerate the soil at some point. So, but if it is causing you a problem, there are lots of things you can do, including get rid of the grubs. Eliminate their food source is the first thing. You can also use milky spore because it's going to be a grub remover or an insecticide like Kill-A-Grub. Broken glass, human hair, kerosene, soap rags do not work because the mole is smarter than that. The mole comes up on something in the yard or in its path and it goes, oh, this doesn't look like it should be here. And instead the mole just tunnels under. So those things are really not that effective. They just move. Used kitty litter works. And if you use used kitty litter, you have to be careful and kind of make it look like an indentation, like a cave-in. And then you put the kitty litter in because they will go into a cave-in to fix it, where they will not go in if you open it up, stick it in, and leave it open. Because they know something's wrong with that situation. But with a cave-in, they think that's how that works. Also, if you choose to set traps, you have to make traps look like cave-ins. And if the trap doesn't look like a cave-in, they'll know you're up to something. Be careful with castor beans if you're choosing to use castor beans because they're poisonous to everyone, including humans. So if you're going to use those, and yes, you can trap them, but you cannot relocate them. So you can relocate bunnies. Well, but you know, on bunnies, I pointed out, yes, you could trap them and relocate them. If you just didn't want to hurt bunnies, you could actually trap the bunny, move the bunny, let the bunny go somewhere. You cannot trap moles and relocate them. It's a harpoon trap. It's probably not going to end well. Voles and mice are our next thing. Generally, voles and mice, grayish brown in color, about 7 inches in length. And then we have rats, which are larger than mice. And they're going to be over a pound and up to 18 inches long. I hope we don't have many of those.
We had those.
We get those
Water rats.
down, yeah, because of the river, or the creek. We get them down there in the pots. And my mom, the best thing we found to take care of it was a Jack Russell.
Yeah.
It was like fun afternoon entertainment for the dog to get to come down. And we have pictures of her after, you know, rat chasing. Poor Corey. They target fresh seeds, tender shoots, berries, grains, and potatoes. How to determine if you have one. Now, this was brand new to me, too. I'd never heard. No one has ever walked in here and said this. People walk in here and say crazy stuff. But no one has ever walked in here and said, I think I have a mouse problem or a vole problem, and I just can't figure out what it is. But apparently, how you do this is you dust flour. You put out, like, corn or whatever, and then you dust flour around the location. And then the rodent comes, eats whatever it is, and then walks away. And as it walks away, it leaves its footprints. And then you can just look up its footprints and know what you have.
No, I've done that. It works.
See?
Yeah.
Because online the person was saying, well, the issue was they didn't know if they had like a possum or if it was a raccoon or what was causing the problem, and that they dusted flour. And I thought, well, I never would have thought of that. So you got to get a bag of flour and put it in your garden shed because you're going to use it for detective work. And the other thing, apparently, if it's mice that you think you have, is that you can take an ink pad, put the stuff on the ink pad, or two, and then put out white paper. And the mouse will come and then print himself as he leaves. Now, as far as ways to prevent them, clean up an area, make sure that you get rid of their housing locations. If you don't have black pots sitting in a shed down there, there's probably not anywhere for them to live. And they'll move on. Keep pet food, bird seed in a contained, into a box that won't tip over. They do not like daffodils and hyacinths. I don't like hyacinths either, or paper whites, so you can sprinkle ammonia around the garden. You can use that ferret scent whenever you purchase it. All right, snap traps, live traps. If you want to trap rats with a live trap, you go right ahead. They're scary little creatures to me. All right, squirrels. Squirrels unearth your buried treasures, so things like bulbs. By now, I love squirrels. They tear up her yard all the time. They also eat berries, tender plants, corn, and just planted seeds. So while you're busy blaming, of course, the crows, it may not be the crows that are your problem. Many people find them a nuisance due to their digging. Blood meal or homemade sprays of hot pepper, water, and liquid soap are said to work. That brown paper bag trick is supposed to work on your corn. Cat hair, dog hair is supposed to work well. My husband's grandfather he lived in town, and he would trap squirrels and take them to the local park. Now, he never got rid of all the squirrels, did he, Gabriel? Oh, well, yeah, I could see that, yes. And then you can make dumplings if it's the right time of year.
And they come from an egg. You get rid of all yours, and they will come from an egg. There is no way to get rid of squirrels.
They repopulate.
They do.
Groundhogs. I've got to tell you about groundhogs. I never understood groundhogs.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh, they are.
Okay, well, I'm going to think differently of groundhogs from now on. I'll say this in a polite way. Apparently, when groundhogs come out for Groundhog's Day, it's actually the male groundhog who comes out. And the male groundhog comes out specifically so he can find a female groundhog. And he goes out, finds the first female groundhog that comes across, and he goes to her burrow where they're intimate. And then they go back to sleep. And then the babies come out, and then they never speak again. So they do this hibernation thing. The babies are born. When the babies are born, when they leave the den, that's it. And every time in February when I see groundhogs, and I think, ooh, Groundhog's Day. I'm not quite going to be thinking Groundhog's Day anymore. And I did not know that's why they came out. All right, usually they travel no more than 50 yards from their den, so if you can eliminate their den, you've taken care of it. Now, eliminating their den is harder than you think. My great uncle one time determined he had a groundhog over here in his field, and he was going to get rid of it. My gosh, he was just going to shoot it. He was just going to dig the thing up and shoot it. He wound up with a backhoe digging it up, and it was this huge hole before my Uncle Junior got to that groundhog, because their tunnels can go back in several feet back. It wasn't as easy as he thought it would be. They target root tops. How about carrot tops, lettuce, squash, melons, and fruit? Remove debris from the area because you're decreasing their area to live in. Dried blood they do not like. They also don't like talcum powder. So if you happen to have, and you can still get talcum powder. I went and checked because I didn't know. Most of them now are cornstarch based, but you can still get actual talcum powder, and you still get it in the generic form. And if you sprinkle that out around, they'll leave. Groundhogs, you can build a fence. But if you build a fence, it has to be a fence designed for groundhogs, because groundhogs can climb and sit on fence posts. So apparently you have to build one that leans when you build your fence, because if it doesn't lean at an angle, they can climb. But if it comes up to here, it needs to be at least 4 feet high, and then you need to have 18 inches that are not attached, so that when they get up here, they climb on up and then fall down. And yes, they can be trapped. You just have to be careful when you trap them. Raccoons. They love shiny things, sweet corn, and melons. They bend down the corn stalks and actually nibble a little off each ear. So ruining your entire stalk, even though there's still corn there, you probably don't want to eat after them. They damage watermelons. First, they dig a tiny little hole to test and see, and that might be all you get for the first day or so. And then as those watermelons ripen, then they come back for the good stuff. And then they'll actually haul out your entire watermelon and eat it with their hands. Pick a crop just a little early. So if you know you've got raccoons, and you know that they're coming to eat your melons, pick your melons just a little early so that then your melons get a chance to fully develop and you get to eat them and you don't have to share them. Leave your dirty clothes in the field. This is one of the few things. They have a good sense of smell, and they're afraid of humans. And so if you'll put out your dirty laundry, now that could mean you make a scarecrow out of it, as in a simple scarecrow, or you literally just leave your laundry out in your garden. It's supposed to help with raccoons. They don't like baby powder, and so you can dust your corn ears in the baby powder because they don't like it getting on their hands since they're such clean animals. So apparently baby powder works for that.
Does that work for squirrels too?
I think so, yes. Yep, I've heard that baby powder works for squirrels too because they also don't like that on their hands.
Good idea.
It's a cheap idea too. That was $1.20, I think, for that big container.
Try this year.
Pie pans, scarecrows, windmills, plastic streamers, floodlights that are on automatic timers, talk radio, whistling soda bottles, all work, but once again, you have a smart creature, so you've got to continually move them around. So, you know, in the summer, I guess every night you devote an hour in the dark to moving all your stuff around.